Hello and good evening. Today it is Monday, February 1st, 2021. And for this video, basically it's going to be a bit of a mix between what I would call a follow-up video to a recent video I did where I shared my thoughts on the Avalanche making some uniform changes for the 2020-21 season. Plus, I'm going to be doing my fair share of ranting throughout this video, because I do not like the blue equipment, and now that I've seen the Avalanche play some home and away games wearing this new blue equipment of theirs, I don't like it at all. I just don't. The blue helmet and the blue gloves and pants with their home uniform, in my opinion, is tolerable. But in my opinion, the black equipment was much better, and there was no reason for it to be changed. And I don't think everybody's going to agree. Recently, when I did that video, I had a viewer saying that, well, the Avalanche no longer have black on their home uniform anyway, so they might as well go all in on the blue. I see where that viewer is coming from, but the problem wasn't the equipment. And I'll get into that later on, at least in my opinion. And another interesting opinion that I heard recently in that video's comment section as well was, I had at least one viewer tell me that they felt that the Reebok Edge era Avalanche uniforms were better than these ones. Now, I'm surprised that there was anybody who liked those uniforms, because in my opinion, their home and away jerseys throughout the Reebok Edge era were two of the worst uniforms ever made in the Reebok era. Of all of the uniforms we had to see throughout the Reebok years, especially at the beginning, where you had so many teams come out with dumpster fire uniforms, such as the Edmonton Oilers, the Colorado Avalanche, the Calgary Flames, I can go on and on and on. And the Avalanche were one of the only teams to not fix their uniforms. The other one was Calgary, off the top of my head. But, you know, then the 2017-18 season came along, and with the transition from the Reebok Edge uniforms to the new Adidas Adizero uniforms, the Avalanche decided to finally fix their jerseys. And for the most part, they went back to their original uniforms with some modernized twists, including the use of the state flag C logo rather than the Yeti foot on the shoulders, which personally I much prefer this logo over the Yeti foot. And I had a viewer tell me that they felt that they feel that the Yeti foot should make a comeback. Personally, I don't get the love for the Yeti foot. I've always felt that it was an ugly looking logo. Now, if you don't agree with me, I respect your opinion, but honestly, it looks like something a kid's minor hockey team would wear. That logo either being on the front of a jersey or being on the shoulder patch, it's very cheesy. I've always found it kind of more suiting for a kid's jersey rather than an NHL jersey. I mean, is this logo more boring than the Yeti foot? I will say that, yeah. But I feel that I like seeing the more simpler logo on the shoulder, seeing something that's a little more subdued and a little more subtle. And I just think it looks better, personally. I do. But anyway, you see the black equipment here, and this has been the uniform that the Avalanche have had in the Adidas era so far. And I also want to take a quick moment to show their away uniform in the Adidas era so far, with the black equipment up until now. So now, this is what the Avalanche home uniform looks like. And here's where they got that blue equipment from. And just bear with me for a second, because, of course, let's take the ugliest uniform the Avalanche have ever worn and use it as the basis of making alterations to our main uniforms. I'm sorry, folks. I mean, sorry if I'm making you have to look at one of the ugliest uniform matchups I've ever seen for a second time, but, you know, this Stadium Series matchup, in my opinion, was an absolute abomination. It was just awful. It was an eyesore. It was like the Avalanche were trying to kind of subtly dress up in some type of superhero costume. It was ugly. And the Kings, oh God, those chrome domes, ugh, yuck. But anyway, what do you see here? You see an ugly helmet, which thankfully that didn't stick around. But the blue gloves and the blue pants are being used on both the Avalanche home and away uniforms now, and with the exception of the away uniform using a white helmet. So this is what their home uniform now looks like with blue equipment instead of black equipment. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I do see where folks such as Post to Post are coming from. And what Neil said, and that's his name, by the way, Neil from Post to Post, he said something that I do agree with. The blue equipment does suit the blue uniform. I do agree with him that, in theory, it works. But do I think this is better than their black equipment? Absolutely hell no. Absolutely not. I mean, in my opinion, there's too much blue. And another nitpick. Notice how the numbers from a distance just look like they are plain white numbers. They actually are supposed to have it, well, not supposed to, they do actually have a silver outline. Same with the black numbers on their away uniform as well. But you see here, the blue equipment ties in with the uniform just fine, eh? But in my opinion, there is way too much blue here. But at least the blue equipment actually fits in with the jersey. But now you look at their away uniform. Now, before I go into more detail here, here's a little screenshot, mini reminder of what the Avs away uniform looked like up until the end of last season. Black pants, and notice, and the black gloves as well, that's what I meant to say, but notice how there's very little blue, and only blue on the socks and a bit on the logo. And oh, don't forget the blue half of this collar, because thanks to Adidas, we have these awful crap collars. Sorry, I'm very biased on that. But look at the blue gloves and pants here. I don't know about you, but in my opinion, they look completely out of place. You know what? They almost look to me like the Avalanche lost their black equipment in transit while they were flying out to somewhere like Los Angeles for an away game. It's just a disaster, in my opinion. And I agree with those of you who are saying that the blue equipment better suits the home uniform than the away uniform. See, now to kind of go back to what a viewer of mine said, and I apologize for forgetting who you are, but one viewer said to me that, you know, the Avalanche home uniform doesn't have any more black accents on it, and the jersey to be specific. So there's no point in them having the black equipment. Well, their away uniform on the other side of the coin no longer has any blue accents. So why are you overloading it with blue equipment? It just looks out of place completely. So here's another photo, another side view. It just doesn't work. You don't have, see, the blue heavy socks and the blue pants, those work. But the rest, everything above the pants just does not. You've got a jersey that is burgundy with white with silver trim and no blue, except for the logo, the back half of the collar, and a little bit of blue trim on the numbers. So it just doesn't work. And now here's another photo of a recent game against the Los Angeles Kings. So notice how the black numbers on the back, have no trim, no accenting to them. Well, actually, they do have a small silver outline. But from a distance, can you see it? No. And I'm going to get into that later on as I go throughout my, let's call it a rant at this point, video about the new blue equipment for the Avalanche. So here's the Avs home uniform that they wore this past weekend, in fact, against the Minnesota Wild. And kudos to Minnesota for this reverse retro uniform. It's a very nice looking uniform. It looked great. The Kelly green and gold is a marvelous color scheme. But you see, even though I do agree with people that the blue equipment suits this uniform, especially when the jersey no longer has any black accents, here's my issue with it. There's too much blue. There's just too much blue. Now, actually, why don't I take a moment and go back to that and go back to this photo here that I want to show you viewers. So, see, black goes with anything. Black, you can pair black with anything. You could pair it with red, pink, fluorescent green, for Christ's sake. Black matches with anything. See, the problem is now, with the blue pants, there's too much blue. And this jersey is a completely untraditional jersey design. So you've got this mountain range waist striping, like the original uniforms had. And this black here for the pants, in my opinion at least, is a nice way of breaking up the blue and the black. It breaks up all that blue. Same with the gloves and same with the helmet. Now, there is something more, and I'm sure you're thinking, well, the jersey doesn't have any black accents. Don't worry, I am going to get to that. But there is something else I want to show you. And I want to jump back to this photo, So, notice how the Avalanche have decided to use burgundy pant shells with their Nordiques reverse retro design. I actually believe that the burgundy pant shells could have even been a better compromise than the blue pants if they really wanted to make a change, especially at the bare minimum for the away jersey. It would have suited it better. Now, also a little bit of third jersey news for the Avalanche. Notice that they've got new pants that have a white stripe on the sides and a little bit of white striping on the very bottom of the pants on the front. No, on the front of the pants. So, do I think they needed to do that? No, but is it fine? Yeah, it's better than putting bright blue pants with an away uniform that has no blue on it, essentially, or very little. But, okay. See what I mean about how there is all this blue here and it looks out of place with this jersey? Here's now where I want to get into this. See, in my personal opinion, the problem wasn't the black equipment. The problem is the jerseys themselves. It's the jersey itself. So, you see, especially on the away uniform, how much more the black equipment suits it. Burgundy, black, and silver with a little bit of blue. And I have felt since the beginning, and you can go back and see it if you want at some of my older videos, but I've always said that, you know, ever since the Avalanche have gone to this design, there's too much blue on the socks. They almost would have been better off taking the blue stripe right off of their socks entirely. And this uniform would be perfectly fine without the blue on the top of their socks. But now, because they've left that there, they felt, oh, we got to add blue equipment in order to better tie it all in. No. In my opinion, that was a mistake. What they needed to fix was the jerseys themselves. And when you go with an untraditional design like the mountain range uniforms that the Avalanche have gone back to in recent years, you've got to have the elements of the uniform contrast each other well, or it becomes a situation where either A, there's too much blue with their home uniform now, or B, you have blue equipment with your away uniform where it sticks out like a sore thumb and it's completely out of place. So now, you see, at least with the black equipment, you had the burgundy and the black and it tied in better with their jersey, especially when their away jersey has black lettering and numbering on it. So, you see what I mean? They almost would have been better off if they wanted to make a change but leave the jerseys alone to actually just take the blue stripe off of their socks. And then that way you don't have this random block of blue where the rest of the uniform essentially doesn't have any. Except for the back half of the Adidas collar, which I believe, yeah, it does have blue on the back of the away jersey collar too. So there's another shot of it and another shot of the blue equipment. So here's what I think Colorado should have done. If they actually wanted to change their uniform in some way, shape, or form, here's what I would have done. Why didn't the Colorado Avalanche just go back to the original design exactly the way it was? it would have completely avoided this mess in the first place. You would have had the blue accenting on the away jersey to match the blue heaviness of the socks. And you also would have brought back the multi-layered numbers, where there was a blue outline and then a silver outline around the blue outline, so that you can actually differentiate between the white and the silver. And from a distance, you can actually see its couple of layers in the numbers, where you see the white number and you see the colored accenting of it, if you get what I'm saying. But also note the captaincy patch. It isn't just a plain black Captain C with a silver outline that from a distance you can't see. Because of that blue outer outline, you can actually see the detailing from a distance. And with the blue accenting here on the jersey, it actually ties in with the rest of the uniform. Why didn't Colorado just fix the jerseys? It was that easy. Now, I'm going to show you an old shot of Colorado's original colored jersey, which at the time when they first relocated from Quebec, it was their away uniform. Now, when I first saw the Avalanche go to this new, slightly modernized take on the original uniforms that they had when they first relocated from Quebec and ultimately won 2 Stanley Cups in, while wearing them, I felt that the Adidas ones were the best that they've looked. Well, turns out I've forgotten some important things. Details, contrasting elements. And the thing is, I have felt that the Avalanche home uniform has been the best that design's ever looked. And I think the reason for me has also been a big part of the fact that their Reebok era jerseys, well, obviously it's a matter of opinion, at least in my opinion, were so damn bad that they have looked so much better. But you see about their main colored uniform from the 90s. See that bit of black accenting. Notice the blue outline on the captain's C and on the number. Then you've got a silver outline on that. And you had that same treatment on the players' numbers on the backs of their home and away jerseys. You see? And another thing I miss about Colorado, speaking of numbers and letters on their jerseys, is the Glacier Twill, which they actually did have throughout the Reebok years. And I will give Colorado some credit for that too, eh? But you see what I mean? The uniform, the equipment on the uniform has never been the problem, in my opinion. The problem was the jerseys. The problem is the jerseys. If they would have just gone exactly back to what they had originally and went back to the original Colorado Avalanche jersey design, home and away, all of this could have been avoided. I mean, the blue equipment on their home jersey is tolerable, in my opinion. And I do agree with people such as Neil from Post to Post that, hey, the blue equipment does suit their home uniform. But here's the problem. There's too much blue now. You see how there's a decent amount of contrast here with the black equipment? You've got black accenting on the jersey to make it work. Same, even when I go back to their original white uniform. To match the the big blue stripes on the socks, you had blue accenting on the jersey itself to tie it all in. This is exactly what the Avalanche should have just gone back to wearing. This, and kept their Rockies-inspired navy blue third as an alternate. The jerseys should have been changed, not the equipment. Not the equipment. And I'm really disappointed with this move. And another thing I'm actually going to say too, and drop a bit of a bomb here too. Do I think that the Avs original or even their current jerseys now are terrible? No. But I'm going to be honest, I don't think they've ever been that great either. I actually am very surprised that the Colorado Avalanche jerseys, the Mountain Range jerseys, are as popular as they are. Are they unique? I agree. But personally, I think they are an absolute typical product of the 1990s where, hey, let's create some completely untraditional jersey design that is basically heavy on two colors. And in my opinion, the home uniform, their home uniform has always looked like a good third jersey rather than a good primary home jersey. That's been my opinion on the Avalanche uniforms for a very long time. And I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on that one bit. And I understand that. But you know, I actually think it would be nice to see Colorado get some new uniforms and even a new logo that keep burgundy as the main color, but emphasize more on being burgundy, black, and silver, with a little bit of slate blue as an accenting color, with a much more traditional design. I think something like that would actually look fantastic if it was done right. I mean, do I think this is terrible? No, but I've never ever really cared for it either. I mean, it's definitely better than the Reebok Edge era uniforms in my opinion, and I'm sure 99.9% of you will agree with me on that. But you know, if Colorado really wanted to make a change to their uniforms, they should have added the accenting on their jerseys that these had originally and brought these exact jerseys back rather than switching the black equipment on both uniforms out in favor of the new blue equipment that they started introducing at that Stadium Series game last season against LA, where they both teams looked like, or gave us a dumpster fire of a uniform matchup. In fact, the Los Angeles Kings looked like the LA Chrome Domes, if you ask me. Those silver buckets were bad. Whew! I think those were worse than the jerseys they wore, to be honest. But anyways, that's going to be the end of my rant on the Colorado Avalanche uniform changes they've made for the 2020-21 season. And I'd be very curious to hear how you viewers out there who have actually watched this video feel about what I've said in this video. Do you agree with me? Because if Colorado wanted to make a change to their uniforms, they should have just brought back the original jersey design with the additional accenting on both the home and away jerseys and the original number and lettering fonts with the extra blue outlines and ultimately another little fun feature as well, glacier twill. That would have been a fantastic feature to bring back as well. But anyway, I hope that if you have stuck around, you have enjoyed this video. I'd be curious to hear how all of you viewers out there feel. And one more thing I'll add. Imagine this uniform coming back exactly as is and the matching away with the state flag C on the shoulders. Now that, in my opinion, would be the best pair of Avalanche jerseys in the franchise's history in Colorado so far. But personally, I do think it would be nice to see Colorado completely try something new with a new logo, new uniforms with a more traditional style, and ultimately keeping the burgundy as their main color, because I think the burgundy is both unique and a nice color too. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on the video down below and what you think about what I've said, and what do you think the Colorado Avalanche should have done with their uniforms? Or are you happier than a pig and you know what with the blue equipment that they've introduced this year? Well, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts below. But until next time, folks, I hope you have enjoyed this video. And until my next video, you guys, take care. And as always, bye for now.